Good day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today guys we had a very interesting development emerge in the world of PlanetSide Arena. The game has been delayed, and the delay isn't exactly what you would call very short. On the flip side we also got some more details regarding the release window, so let's discuss. For all of those who didn't know, PlanetSide Arena was scheduled to release in 4 days from writing this video up, on January 29th, 2019. And look, I wanted to stay hopeful for the release date staying as it was, considering that I am very interested to at least give the game a go, considering that I got it with my premium membership to PlanetSide 2, and seeing how, it will evolve the PlanetSide universe. However, we had gotten this close to the initial release date and heard absolutely nothing. There was no information on the betas, there was no information on the NDA, on those who had already had a chance to play it. It hadn't been lifted, and in this day and age of YouTube and Twitch content creation, that's a sure way to shoot your game in the foot prior to its actual release, and those who had pre-ordered the game were starting to get a little bit worried about their access to a beta feature that they had paid for. Only getting beta access for 3 days prior to the actual release isn't exactly what you would call a beta nowadays. Now, the launch of the game was starting to look a little, unenthusiastic, quite frankly. With no advertising or hype being driven for the game, there were concerns by the community for what could potentially become a flop of a game from a marketing perspective, which is exactly what happened to PlanetSide 2, which could also be attributed to some of the issues that the game had at launch, like, its lacking ability to make any sort of revenue. But today, the devs were able to turn the situation upside down by announcing a delay in the release date, and by sharing some information on how the beta testing of the game was going to work. PlanetSide Arena's release date has been delayed to the 26th of March 2019. This decision has come off the back of the NDA playtests that the devs have been running with small groups of players. However, in an article that they released this morning in regards to the delay, they stated, and I quote, "There are crucial feature enhancements and core system improvements we can make that will lift PlanetSide Arena to the level it deserves." Now, prior to this announcement, there was a lot of speculation that the game was potentially being kept under NDA just to hide the possibility that it was a buggy, rushed and unpolished mess to cash in a little bit on the PlanetSide IP. But now I reckon I can confidently say that that's going to be far from the case, and it's more or less a case now of the developers not wanting content going out for the game that will tarnish the game's image due to said content not truly reflecting the final product. Now obviously prior to the game's launch, people want to see gameplay to decide whether or not they're going to actually buy the game, and clearly with any pre-launch gameplay it must be noted that there is a chance for gameplay to not be indicative of what we see in the final product. But if the game is still in an early phase of testing where network infrastructure, core features and stability are still the focus of the testing, then there's not really any point of lifting the NDA, as it will provide a very skewed view of the game to those who view the actual gameplay. If the gameplay that we do see is just a bunch of people running around testing a network environment, then that's not actually going to be very, very fun gameplay to watch at all. It's going to put people off of playing the game in its final form. So as a result, there's not really much point in lifting that NDA, and therefore that hurts the marketing behind the game. And with the release date being announced so close to when the game was actually announced in the first place, I'd already assumed that closed, small-scale testing had long started, but to then find out that the game was only just going into testing a month or so before the release, I had my doubts about the release date actually being met. And because of this, I'm actually really glad the developers decided to delay the game, as it means they get to A, spend more time on working on the internal build to squash any of the major technical bugs that could have, tarnished the release of the game if it had launched on its, previously planned release date, but it also allows them to create a version of the game that can be shown via early content creation. And what that does is allows for some user-generated hype. It allows for the gamers out there to generate hype through content creation. You can create as many trailers for a game as you want, but in this age of gaming content creators really dominating the gaming press market and, being one of the more trusted sources of gaming content nowadays, it gives the developers an opportunity to show the game through the content creator's eyes and thus get a really, really fair view of the game prior to its launch. And that's going to be the best way to generate any kind of hype that the game needs to make a return on the investment made by the developers. And with the developers taking more time to create a more polished title that can be shown off early via content creation, we should see a lot of benefits for this game. Delaying games is always a double-edged sword, especially when you are so so close to the pre-planned release date, as you can really put a dampener on the hype for the game. If there is one thing I wish DBG had done differently, it was announce the delay a lot earlier so it wasn't such a slap in the face for the more keen players. But truth be told guys, with no sign of the NDA being lifted off of current gameplay, and with no beta going live for those who pre-ordered, we should have all seen this coming, and I for one am really happy that they actually did decide to go ahead and do this. For those who are a little disappointed by this, just remember guys that in good time we will hopefully get a game that is worth the wait. It is always better for games like this to be delayed rather than released in a broken state. I mean, look at Battlefield 4 from a few years ago. That game was clearly launched out by a publisher and it was a total shit show. And considering that a delay for a game developer does mean that there's a decent cut into potential profits, this shows that the developers are really keen on making this a solid release, and with that, I have a little bit more hope for PlanetSide Arena. Anyway, alongside the announcement of the delay, we now have a bit more information regarding the rollout of beta periods for those who have pre-ordered. A closed beta is coming to the community on the 30th of January, which is interestingly enough the day after they initially planned the release date. So yeah, clearly if they're only doing closed beta testing a day after the initial release, they were nowhere near ready for launch. There will be an FAQ posted relatively soon after this video goes live to clarify how we will gain access to the beta and the times that the beta will be live. I hopefully plan to get into this closed beta to give you guys some content on livestream and on YouTube with some first impressions, but that is of course assuming I get into the closed beta. And on top of that, an announcement was made in regards to a Founders Season to those who have pre-ordered. Now, pre-ordering the game gives players an opportunity to play in a quote-unquote beta according to the website, and I'm assuming that after much confusion as to what this beta actually meant for the players prior to this announcement, I'm assuming that this is it, the beta. The Founders Season will feature an exclusive battle pass for those who have pre-ordered to unlock exclusive items that will not be available after the said season, so there is a little bit of extra value being added to the game in that sense. This Founders Season launches on the 20th of February, so we are talking at about a month between the final release and this so-called beta test that pre-orders will have access to, which has sort of evolved from a beta test to more of an early access phase for the game. A very interesting move by DBG, but it's certainly added a bit more value to the game for those who have pre-ordered, you know, being able to unlock some exclusive cosmetics beyond the stuff that they're going to get for free, well, I say for free, going to get as a bonus anyway to their pre-order. And folks, when it comes to the PlanetSide Arena delay, that's pretty much all she wrote. Now, I know some people are once again going to be slightly disappointed by this, but I honestly think this is a good move for the game. The game just simply needed to be delayed. There was no content, no hype, nothing being generated for the game, and this is honestly the best move that DBG could have made to ensure that the game had a stable but also successful release monetarily. So hopefully this delay will see a more polished game come out. We may even see some more game modes, fingers crossed, and some more fleshed out features, but we'll soon find out as time goes on. If you guys enjoyed today's video, either in the form of the news or the gameplay, please feel free to backhand that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And if you guys are new to the channel and want to see some more PlanetSide 2, PlanetSide Arena, and just general gaming nonsense here on this YouTube channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button once again as well. I'd really appreciate it. Do me a favor guys, jump in the comment section down below and let me know what you think about this delay. Do you think it's a good move, bad move? Feel free to leave your comments down below guys. Once again guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I'll be seeing you guys all in the next one. Take care guys, have a good one.